Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey here, once again with another video on The Flash Season 3. In the past day, we got some awesome pictures released from the second episode of Season 3 of The Flash. These images give us a taste of what is to come this season, as well as give us our first good look at Tom Felton's character this season. As I said, these images are from episode 2 of Season 3, which is actually entitled Paradox, and it does have a description which I have gone over in more depth in another video, but I will quickly go over it again right now. Barry realizes the effects from Flashpoint are much greater than he thought. Meanwhile, Barry meets new co-worker Julian Albert and is surprised by Julian's immediate disdain for Barry. The first couple of pictures to go over involve Barry at a crime scene with both Joe and Julian. As we can see here, we can already see some differences between the two, mainly in regards to how they dress. This may also be their first meeting, and I'm guessing it doesn't start off all that well. This picture is extremely interesting, and it has nothing to do with any of the characters in the picture. It is actually what they are examining. It is almost like a shedded snake skin, but of a human, like it's in the shape of a human. It might not be a shedded skin, but it definitely looks like it. I guess the big question surrounding this shedded skin is the person they are looking for able to do this to themselves? Or are they doing it to other people? Because if they're doing it to other people, that's really creepy, but even if they're doing it to themselves, it's still creepy. We get a couple of shots of Joe and Iris. Apparently there was going to be some conflict between the two this season. I'm not sure why or how big the conflict is going to be, but this may be a scene revolved around that, I'm not too sure. This is where we get the coolest shot of the pictures, and that is of Barry Allen and Jay Garrick side by side in their speedster suits. So cool, so awesome. Jay Garrick will be in episode 1 and interacting with Barry, but what I think Jay is here for in this episode is to take on the rival. As you can see here in this picture, we have Barry in focus getting ready to charge at the rival, who is in the black suit and sort of out of focus. In the comics, the rival is basically like the reverse Flash of Jay Garrick, so it would be a massively wasted opportunity if they did not face off against each other in some capacity this season. The rival is meant to be recurring this season, so he's just going to be popping up randomly throughout the season, so he's not just like a 1 or 2 episode villain, going by what the producers have said. Now we are onto the pictures of Tom Felton's character, Julian Albert. One interesting thing to bring up with his character is that when he was officially cast or like announced to the public, his character's name was Julian Dawn, not Julian Albert. So I'm not sure if that was all cover or they just decided to randomly just change his name. Anyway, as you can see in the first photo, he does seem to take his work pretty seriously. And when you compare that with like Barry's work ethic, then you can see another difference between the two. Because Barry's sort of busy being the Flash and sort of puts his job as like a, not even like a secondary, like it's like 3rd or 4th on the list. This picture is pretty interesting as we see Joe getting pretty angry with Barry. Is this still Flashpoint Joe? We will go over that at the end of the video, but it wouldn't surprise me if this has something to do with Julian, like Barry and Julian might have a bit of a conflict and Joe takes Julian's side and sort of has a go at Barry. Back to another picture of Julian, but this time with like Barry hunched over his desk. You may not be able to make it out, but his name bar thing, like the thing on the front of his desk, says Julian Albert, Metahuman CSI Specialist. So that is his official position, but is most likely a hint at things to come with his character later this season. But just expect Julian to be popping up at every single crime scene that involves a metahuman. And it would be pretty interesting to see if he came up with some way to detect metahumans, similar to what Earth 2 Harrison Wells did, and maybe he finds out that Barry is the Flash earlier than we think he might. We then have this picture of Julian examining something in a glass bowl. I'm not 100% sure what he is looking at or examining. It does look like some sort of cricket or type of grasshopper or just some sort of insect, but maybe this has something to do with that shedded human skin from earlier. Maybe these insects were found at the scene, who knows. We then have a picture of Barry in his Flash suit once again. It is actually unclear if this is Flashpoint or not, as we don't have anyone else around him to really go, okay, that's Flashpoint Iris, that's Flashpoint Cisco, or anything like that. The final picture may or may not answer that for us though, and that is Cisco, but it isn't rich, sort of douchebaggy Cisco from the Flashpoint timeline. But does this mean Flashpoint is only 1 episode, and by the 2nd episode we are back to the normal timeline? Or are we going to get Cisco in the normal timeline vibing or, communicating to Barry in the Flashpoint timeline? I don't think so. That does seem like unlikely, and it does seem that we are back to the normal timeline by episode 2. But apparently, according to the description of the episode, we will have effects from Flashpoint in this episode and throughout the rest of the season. So it will be interesting to see what those effects are. One quick thing to leave the video on. If you look at this picture of Cisco, he's working on like a glove or like a gauntlet. It does seem to be vibes, gloves or gauntlets from the comics. I'm assuming these will help him control the pulses that he used on Black Siren last season and that we saw Reverb use on Earth 2, as well as possibly give him more control on opening breaches to other worlds in the multiverse. But I don't know if we'll see them like in episode 2 or 3. It might be just foreshadowing something we might see, leading up to the crossover, and they may be used in the crossover to go from Earth to Earth. But thanks for watching, guys. Leave your opinions in the comments section below. What did you think of these images? Are you excited to see Jay Garrick back? Out of all these pictures, which one gets you most excited for not only this episode, but season 3 of the Flash, might I say, in general? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. I'll catch you later, guys, and goodbye.